I think one way to say it is that the typologies are dead in terms of the architecture, that the office building as an office building, the educational building, the hospital, they are not the same as they used to be, that they are in a way, they are totally mixed used, almost all of them, and then they are approaching each other.
What's different? What did they borrow from conceptually into the new hospital that has changed it so much?
But there's like two sides. There's like looking at the hospital as a process design. So just as a sort of looking at processes, the flows of patients' care and the logistics. So that's one thing. And the second is the patient experience, the softer side, that how to make it possible to make it patient friendly. So it's the idea is that you optimize both of these approaches, not just the hard approach or the softer approach, but both. This needs to be patient first hospital, and it deals with the spaces, but it also deals with the art program. It deals with the lighting systems and how easy it is to get the time there. And there's like many issues about that, how to make it patient friendly. And in terms of the process approach, it's quite a big restructuring actually. The way to look at it is that what they developed themselves is that they divide the hospital into 4 pieces, that you condense the hot piece, that's one piece, that's the hot hospital, but you make it as compact as possible so that it works together, in terms of the patient and connecting the different functions and the staff and the pathways. So the hot hospital is as compact as possible, and it's like in a way, industrial space for healthcare. Then the second piece is what they call elective hospital. And that means that it's not 24/7 hour, but it's you make an appointment there and then you go there and see the doctor there. So it's basically, in terms of the construction, it's like an office building. But what we made different in that piece is that you don't make a division into the different kingdoms inside the hospital. There's different categories, all the categories of a general hospital. Usually they are divided so that they each have their own zone and each have their own staff, their doctors, and you don't put them together in a system that's in a flexible way connected to each other. But in this case, we made that side, it's a bit like a longer sausage, that they are all next to each other. And this is, they have certain areas, but they don't own the consultation rooms, for instance, that these are mine and these are yours.
Yeah.
There's like, they roughly do have their area, but then you're able to have flexibility between them. And then they have the common knowledge center behind the consultation rooms, which forces them to go to the same large space, which is, I think, totally, it's like 2,000 square meters. It's a huge space, and there are hundreds of doctors, but they still go to that space. That's their workspace, which is where they do the focused work, and which is not for the meeting of the patients. But then they are able to build collaboration or discuss the patients, different doctors from different fields. 2 or 3 years, a mathematician trying to calculate the different capacities for different consultation rooms. And I think the key idea was how to tell them, in what I've heard, that how they tell it to the doctors is that you lose your own room, but you get 10 rooms for yourself. I think we created like 200 consultation rooms, but with the old system, we would have needed 600. So 3 times more, because the capacity usually is about even 25%. They are very often empty. There's nobody there. So it's like a one shopping center. And it's not like you have in normal cases, you have 20 small shops.
Okay.
or not really small even. But in this case, you have one system, but it needs a platform, like a digital platform, how to plan that, because the efficiency goes above 90%. So the rooms are full almost all the time. So this is the second piece in a way in this puzzle. The third piece is the what can be called the hotel, and which is the wards. But normally in the wards, the typical system in Finland is that you have patient rooms, you have consultation rooms and offices, doctors' offices. But in this case, and then nurses' offices, we took out all the doctors' offices because they already are someplace else. It has an open zone in the middle, so which has the work functions there. So you get easily even get the idea that this is a bit like more like a lounge or hotel. In the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, it was much more. The care was, let's say, more focused on the bed. That you put somebody in the bed and to rest there, and you get better. But that's not the idea at all, actually, in this modern hospital. But it's more like a very quick process to get the patient out from the hospital. So the average stay is like 2 days. There are a couple of things that are, let's say, they come in different scales. First of all, the main space of the hospital, patient service space, and which has these cafe functions, even a kiosk and a children's courtyard and quiet courtyard and restaurant and exhibitions and some laboratory, some of these, all kinds of these functions that are not specific to these four bigger pieces with their own room programs.
And also, if we talk about flexibility, what you said, that, for example, in the future, you don't know what the kind of hospital building this could be. For example, do you have any, from the point of the architecture, any instruments to raise the flexibility of the space? For example, I've read somewhere that you have the removable elements such as modular prefabricated bathrooms, maybe something else like that.
Yeah, that's one thing, that there's a couple of systems that make it flexible. So first of all, that you are specific. Well, in this case, we didn't make the whole hospital flexible. That's also one approach, that it's like one huge bookshelf and everything can be moved. But actually, that's not true. It cannot be done because, for instance, in hospital, you have certain elements that you can't move, and it's makes sense to move. So it's flexible in 50 years. You have to have this kind of modular system with the structure. And then there's like standardized elements.
So I think that I have one last question. I forgot to ask about some sustainable decisions that you have. Do you have any in this building?
Yes, there's like quite a comprehensive sustainability approach also. But I do have to say about the hospital system itself, I think it's hospital as a building type is not really sustainable because it takes a lot of energy, for instance. But then you connect it to the heating and cooling systems of the city, for instance, and the power systems. So in a way, you use that infrastructure, and if it's possible, you don't make another layer of infrastructure for hospital itself. So that's for instance, number one. And secondly is that like the new hospital is, I think, about roughly 25 or 30% smaller than the old hospital, maybe even 50% smaller. So it will be more compact because it's more effective. And then the third aspect is that there's no storages. So it's logistically like industrial space. So on-time demand deliveries every day, and it doesn't have big storages. So that's why that's more effective from the sustainable point of view and from logistics point of view. And then of course there's like issues of the building skin and energy use and how thick is the building body and how effective. So
thank you so much once again.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Have a nice weekend.
Bye.